is War in the Spirit, your God-given, God-guided resource for all things truth and all things kingdom, based on the Word of God and the influence of the Holy Spirit. Stay tuned for this week's spiritual truth.
Worship is a lifestyle. You were originally designed to be a spirit, a son, a daughter of God.
Hey, spiritual warriors, welcome back to War in the Spirit podcast. This is Faith Cawthon Green back for a brand new episode of War in the Spirit. This episode is going to be one that's a little bit special today because I'm just going to kind of share my heart with you today. So you are tuned in for season number 9, episode number 3, entitled Unscathed. All right, you guys. So I actually wasn't even planning on recording an episode today, but I kind of had a breakthrough moment today. I was talking to a friend, and God brought something up out of me that I didn't know was there, that had been buried for a really long time, and um, it was a experience that I had when I was a teenager, that God kept showing me there was something that was holding me back. There was something that was keeping me from moving forward, and I didn't know what it was because I just kept running and running and running, and God kept showing and showing and showing me all of these things that I needed to heal from, that I needed to deal with, that I needed to confront, all of these truths. And so today I'm going to kind of share that with you a little bit. Some of you have heard a part of my journey as far as healing goes, and you hear me talk about how important it is to heal and to confront your truths and to allow yourself. This is the thing that God has been dealing with me on a lot lately, to allow yourself to be vulnerable. And uh, people that know me know that that's probably not a space that I like to live in, because I'm kind of a very independent, alpha kind of female, and I don't like to wear my heart on my sleeve. I care a lot about people. If you know me, you know that there's almost nothing that I wouldn't do for the people that I care about. And so it's not that I don't care, but it's just that it's very difficult for me to expose myself emotionally, or to be vulnerable, or to allow other people into my heart space. And so that's the thing that God wanted me to talk about today. And I think it's so important because a lot of times we create these walls and we build up this defense mechanism to try to protect ourselves. And what happens is that mechanism becomes an unconscious thing. After a while, it's like you put it up once, and then you start putting it up in places and spaces and situations and scenarios and relationships that you shouldn't be putting those walls up for. And sometimes it causes you to miss out on some of the best things in life because of trauma. And so this episode is entitled Unscathed. And what God kept saying to me was, you like to act like you've been unscathed by all the things that you've been through. And so when I looked up the word unscathed, and it specifically means without suffering any injury, damage, or harm. And so, I want to talk about this a little bit today because I think it's a space that so many of us want to live in. When people hurt us, or we have experiences that are traumatic, or we get our hearts broken, or we get disappointed. We like to pretend like we were unscathed by that thing, meaning it didn't hurt us, it didn't wound us, and we just decide, okay, I'm just going to get back up and I'm going to keep moving. But here's the problem. What happens when you just get back up and keep moving? Just because you kept moving didn't mean that you healed from that experience. Every hurt, every trauma, every disappointment in life has an effect on us. It has an effect on our hearts. It has an effect on our minds. Whether we consciously know it or not, those things affect us. And they affect us in ways that we probably don't even realize that they affect us. And so what happens is we start putting up all these subconscious walls and defense mechanisms. And so what God was saying to me was, He was like, you've put up your own defense. And when you put up your own defense, it hinders me from covering your heart. It's my job to cover your heart. It's not your job to cover your heart. But you've been through all of these different things. And it makes me think about all these experiences that we will go through in life. I was telling this to somebody the other day. That I was talking to about, they were talking to me about a family member and how they were concerned about this family member's health, and how many things they had been through recently. And I said, and then they likened themselves to Job. And I said, remember, God doesn't put us through things or allow things to happen in our lives for no reason. He is extremely intentional. And so when He allows things to happen in our lives, a lot of times it's to help bring up or uncover, repair, or draw attention to an area that He needs to draw attention to. It's also to allow Him to be a place for you to come with that thing. He's waiting for you to bring your concern, your hurt, your disappointment, your worry, your trauma to Him so He can cover your heart. But a lot of times what happens is we build up our own defense mechanism, and it keeps us from receiving some of the very best things in life. A lot of times what happens is we put that false covering, defense mechanism around our hearts. And it keeps people from seeing our true intentions. It keeps people from seeing and hearing our heart when we encounter people. And so that's why a lot of times we get misunderstood by each other. This is why a lot of times we get offended with each other, because we've put up this false defense mechanism. And so it made me think about specifically my dad. Um, I am proverbial daddy's girl. When I tell you I love my dad, like, we had such a close relationship. And he passed away unexpectedly earlier this year in January. And God has given me so much revelation and things that I need to understand about my dad and my relationship with my dad and how it's fostered my relationship with God and all of these different things. But I was thinking about it today as God was talking to me about this false covering that I had placed over my heart. And He was like, you put this false covering over your heart to try to protect yourself because of these past traumas that you never really dealt with or healed from. Like, you got back up from them and you kept moving, but you never really confronted or healed from them. And so it brought to mind my dad specifically. And if you guys listen to me often, you'll hear me say that everything physical is a manifestation of something spiritual. So, I say this often about the body. There's a reason that when Jesus passed away, when He died on the cross, it says, and then He gave up His spirit and He died. Because the spirit is what fuels the body, the flesh. See, without the spirit, the flesh is nothing. It can't even really exist. It can't live. It can't move without the spirit. And so everything is attached to the health of our spirits. The health of your body is attached to the health of your spirit. The health of your mind is attached to the health of your spirit. The health of your heart is attached to the health of your spirit. Everything is spiritual, and all too often we get so caught up in the practicality of ailments or hardships or sicknesses, but it's all attached to your spirit. And if you find the spiritual thing that's wrong, you will find the you will also take care of the spirit. I'm sorry. Once you figure out what's wrong with the spiritual side, it will also take care of the physical side because everything is spiritual. Your body can't live without your spirit. So it brought to mind this. My dad had a lot of heart issues, and he physical heart issues and spiritual slash emotional heart issues. There were lots of traumas that happened to him, hurts, wounds, losses that he never really healed from. And I remember I would tell him all the time, it's time for you to confront this stuff. It's time for you to deal with this stuff, And I would say to him, I said, you ever wonder why you have so many physical heart issues? I said, because there are spiritual and emotional heart issues that you haven't dealt with. So he was walking around pretending that he was unscathed by these traumas that he experienced. I mean, my dad had a lot of trauma. His dad passed away when he was just a year old. My brothers passed away when they were young ages. I had two brothers, they passed away. These were all things that my dad, I know he hadn't dealt with. And so, some years ago, he had a heart attack, and they had to go in and do open heart surgery. And so here it is. He's got what seems to be just a physical ailment, right? So the doctors go in and they repair, see my air quotes, the physical problem. He had open heart surgery. They went in to repair what was wrong, except it didn't fix the problem because the spirit had not been repaired. So guess what? He continued to have heart issues and more heart issues and more heart issues. Why? Because his spiritual heart was still not repaired or healed. So the second time he had to have heart surgery, they went in and they removed his pericardium because even after the first heart surgery, his heart was still stiff and it wasn't pumping to uh, the potential that it was supposed to remove the fluid from his body. So he basically had just gestational, not gestational, Lord, what am I saying? Congestive heart failure. So fluid was building up in his body because his heart wasn't strong enough to pump. And so I remember what the doctors told him. They said, well, we're going to remove the pericardium because we think that it's hindering the heart from pumping and being as flexible and moving as much as it needs to move. And so I want to tell you guys what the pericardium is. So the pericardium is a double-walled sac that contains the heart and the roots of the vessels. It has two layers, an outer layer of connective tissue, and it encloses the pericardial cavity. So it separates the heart from interference of other structures. It protects it against infection or trauma and lubricates the heart's movements. So the purpose of the pericardium is to keep your heart in a fixed place within your chest cavity, to prevent your heart from stretching too much or overfilling with blood. It lubricates your heart to prevent friction with the tissues around it. It protects your heart from any infections that might spread from nearby organs like the lungs. So they removed my dad's pericardium. Guess what? His body was still collecting fluid. The heart was still not pumping in the way that it was supposed to pump. You see, and I'm going to tell you why. See, because it wasn't the physical pericardium that was the issue. See, what happened is he had put his own false pericardium around his heart, a false wall around his heart. See, the pericardium is the thing that's supposed to lubricate the heart. It's supposed to protect it from trauma. It's supposed to keep it functioning in the right way. But when we create our own pericardium, what happens is it makes our heart hard. It makes it difficult for it to pump and move and flex and do all of the things and function in the way that it's supposed to function, your physical heart and your spiritual heart. So you put something around it that's stiff because you built this false protection around your heart. And when you build a false protection around your heart, it keeps your heart from doing what it was designed to do, to keep your life, your mind, your spirit, your body healthy. See, God is supposed to be the true pericardium around our hearts. The true thing that protects us from trauma, from infection, from disappointment, from all of the things that we might experience in life. He's supposed to be the pericardium. But because we're walking around like we've been unscathed by the hurt, we haven't brought it to him. We haven't confronted it. We might have gotten back up from it and we might have kept moving, but we did not heal because we built our own false protection around our heart, and it cannot function the way that it's supposed to function. That's why we have all this offense with each other. That's why we have all these hurts, all these wounds, all these difficulties fostering relationships. That's why marriages are breaking down. That's why churches are breaking down. That's why families are breaking down. That's why friendships are breaking down, because we've created our own protection and we haven't allowed God to be the protection around our hearts. And God brought me to 2 Corinthians chapter 12. This is verses 7 through 10, and it says, "And he has said to me, my grace is sufficient for you, for power is perfected in weakness. Most gladly, therefore, I will rather boast about my weakness, so that the power of Christ may dwell in me. Because of the extraordinary greatness of the revelations, for this reason, to keep me from exalting myself, there was given to me a thorn in the flesh, a messenger of Satan to torment me, to keep me from exalting myself. Concerning this, I pleaded with the Lord 3 times that it might leave me. Therefore, I delight in weaknesses, in insults, in distresses, in persecutions, in difficulties, in behalf of Christ. For when I am weak, then I am strong." You see, our weakness is where God steps in to show his strength on our behalf. And it's where we don't exalt ourselves, but it's a place where we're handing it over to him and saying, God, Let me be witness to your power, to your glory, to your love, to your joy, to your peace, to your character, that you may get the glory. You see, when you try to protect yourself, when you try to play a role for yourself that God wants to play for you, you're taking glory away from Him. See, He wants to meet you in that weak place. He wants to meet you in that hurt place. He wants to meet you in that wounded place. He wants to meet you in that traumatic place so that He can protect your heart. As I've been on this journey, you know, God said to me, I, and only I, hold the keys to your heart. And He said, the reason that you've been so heartbroken, the reason that you've been so disappointed by people is because you were handing out spare keys. He said, see, everyone in your life, before you give them access to your heart, they need to come through me. Because when they come through me, they're going to know how to treat your heart, how to steward your heart, how to protect your heart. They're going to know how to treat you. You're not going to have to teach it to them. You're not going to have to tell it to them. They're going to know, and you shall know them by their fruit. So you will know those who have come to me about you. I don't care if it's family. I don't care if it's friends. I don't care if it's a spouse. I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's a colleague, if it's an acquaintance, whatever it is. They will have come to me, and you shall know them by their fruit, because they'll know how to approach you. They'll know how to handle you. They'll know how to protect you. They'll know how to stand with you. They'll know how to support you. They'll know how to love you, because they came to me first. He said, take back all those spare keys, because I'm the one who stewards your heart. I'm the one who protects your heart. I'm the one who brings healing to your heart. See, you go looking for healing in all these different spaces and places. You got all these vices of healing and all these broken mindsets, all of these things of the world that you've used to try to fill a space that only I can fill, because it's in your weakness that I am made strong. And basically what is being said here in 2 Corinthians chapter 12 is that God put the thorn there just so He could be the answer. Not so we could suffer, but so He can show us who He desires to be to us and for us. So we stop looking for our own solutions to a problem. So we stop looking to other people for the solution to a problem or to be the solution to a problem. And we start looking above to the Father. Stop pretending like you were unscathed, because He put that thorn in your side so it would scathe you, so you would come to Him. Because somehow, some way, you were going in the wrong direction, and He said, I can't let you do that. I love you too much to let you squander your purpose. I love you too much to let you settle for less than what you deserve. I love you too much to allow someone to discount your worth. I love you too much to allow someone to place a false identity over you. I love you too much. Let me put this thorn in your side, because I need to draw you back over here into the house. And it brings to mind the prodigal son. The prodigal son, he got his inheritance. He left home. He spent his inheritance. And then he said, His dad didn't tell him he wasn't worthy to come back home. His dad didn't tell him that he couldn't come back. His dad didn't tell him that he didn't love him anymore. No, that was him. That was his own doing. So he was putting a wall of protection because he wasn't ready to confront the truth, the uncertainty of how his dad would respond to his mistake. So he dined with pigs. He ate out of the troughs. How many of us are eating something that's less than what is on the table that the Father is preparing for us because we're trying to pretend like we've been unscathed? We're trying to create our own false protection. We're trying to move in our own strength because we're not ready to expose our weakness, because we're not ready to be vulnerable and allow our shortcomings to be seen, because this says his grace is sufficient for you. That means if you give it to him, his grace is going to cover you. That's what grace does. It doesn't have to be exposed to the world. But in order for grace to cover you, you have to bring it to him. Stop pretending like you've been unscathed and bring that thorn and say, Dad, please remove this. Dad, I need your help. Dad, clean me up. Dad, heal me. Dad, put me back together. Dad, take away this hurt, this pain, this anxiety, this disappointment. Dad, fill in the gaps. Dad, protect my heart. That's what he's been waiting for us to do. And I'll tell you, the breakthrough that I had today when God revealed that to me blew my mind. I was like, wow, I had absolutely no idea that this one thing had such a heavy impact on how I did everything in life. From that moment forward, God showed me where this false protection came from. What traumatic event in my life started me creating my own protection around my heart, my own pericardium. And he was like, you missed out on some things because your heart, the people that you encountered could not see your heart or your true intention because you put your own protection around it. And so he told me that in this next season, vulnerability and transparency is going to be imperative for what he wants to bring into my life, for relationships that he wants to bring into my life, for ministry, for opportunities, for all of the things that he wants to do. Vulnerability. Why? Because it's in my vulnerability, in my weakness, where he is made strong. So all of you who have been wondering why God hasn't showed up, Dad, why haven't you shown up for me? When are you going to do the thing you said you were going to do? He's waiting on you to expose your heart to him so that he can cover it. Stop trying to cover yourself. Let him be the fortress. Let him be the refuge. Hide in his shadow. It's only when we refuse to allow ourselves to bring those things to God that they have to be exposed. That's when grace runs out. When we stop choosing to come to him and say, God, I need your help. God, I'm hurt by this thing. God, I'm angry. There's nothing wrong with y'all. I be having conversations with God where I be screaming and yelling, and some days I be like, I'm pissed off with you, God. Because this and this and this, He wants you to bring this stuff to Him. Stop pretending that you're unscathed. Bring it to Him. Lay your heart on the altar so He can do surgery and clean it up for you and protect it. It's time to give up that false strength. Bring your weakness to Him. That's where He's made strong. So you want His hand to show up strong for you? Bring your weakness. Because, see, as long as you're trying to be your own strength, you're not allowing the capacity. You haven't emptied yourself out enough. You haven't made room enough for Him to show up for you. So that's nobody's fault but your own. Take off that false covering and allow the real God to cover your heart. And that's what He put on my heart to tell you today. And I, myself, am making a vow to move forward and allow my heart to be uncovered so that He can cover it, so that He can protect it. And I pray that you will do the same. That you will just make a decision to say, you know what, God, I'm trusting you with my heart. And then allow Him to repair it and to clean it up and to do heart surgery on you. So you can feel better, so you can be better, so you can do better, so you can live better. That's my prayer, that every single one of you will get to know God's heart by allowing Him to have access to your heart. That's the word. I love you all. If you feel led to sow a seed, you may do so at Cash App $ War in the Spirit or at Venmo War in the Spirit 12. But it's time to do the work. It's time to give it up and let God handle it for you. That's the work. We get in our mind thinking that healing takes so much work, but once you give it to Him, it's not hard because He knows your heart better than you do. He knows your mind better than you do. He knows every string to pull, every circumstance to bring up, He knows how to make you spit up everything that you've been trying to hold down. You just gotta allow Him to. So that's my prayer for you. Take your heart back to the Father and give it to Him. He's the creator of it. He knows exactly what to do with it. He knows exactly how to steward it. He knows exactly how to heal it. He knows far better than any doctor knows your heart. He created it, and He will repair it if you give it to Him. All right? I love you guys. I pray you have a blessed rest of your weekend, a wonderful Sunday, and I pray that this word brings forth a new beginning. All right? I love you. Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to War in the Spirit. And remember, you are a spiritual warrior. See you next time.